Greetings, brothers and sisters. I hope you're doing well. I thought it would be good to explain some very simple things, some basic things when it comes to the decipherment of the Medu Neter. I understand that the word decipherment is problematic to a lot of people because they see this word as something so special. They likely feel that if we say that someone deciphered the Medu Neter, it means that he has or she had, but that person, whoever that is, had some very exceptional knowledge and so on. But it is not the case. It doesn't take genius. We use the term decipherment for lack of better word. But anyway, the people who say that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered will have some explaining to do. And you will see why. So, if you don't mind, brothers and sisters, put some thumbs ups for this video and let's start. So, Hotep Senu Hena Senut. E.T. and Sebait Medu Neter. Ren E. Shaka Ndugu Kemet. Now, dealing with the decipherment of the Medu Neter. The first reference that I'm using is this book entitled The Keys of Egypt, The Race to Crack the Hieroglyphic Code by Leslie and Roy Atkins. Oh my goodness. I have the page numbers, but I forgot to write it on the screen. So I will tell you which page number that is. That should be page 152, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check. That's the one. Yes, it's page 152. I just forgot to mention that on the screen. So on page 152, it says, on the Rosetta Stone, the name Ptolemy occurs 3 times in a short cartouche, but 3 times in a longer cartouche where it is associated with the king's special titles. Young was therefore able to identify fairly accurately how the name Ptolemy was formed, even though the original scribe had omitted an essential sign from one of the 6 cartouches. What is important to remember here is that the name Ptolemy was written several times on the Rosetta Stone. That's the key information here. Brothers and sisters, if you don't mind, would you put some thumbs ups to this video? We have 11 people, there's only 1 thumbs up, so I'm expecting another 10. It will not kill you. It's not a huge effort, just click on the button. Otherwise, you might be some haters. Thank you, brothers and sisters. Now we have 4. I like that. So, you have the hieroglyphic symbol, Young's value, and the correct value. Young, I've mentioned him many times. He's one of the people who worked on the hieroglyphics. Champollion was not the only one. However, Champollion was lucky to have the Rosetta Stone. Once again, this is a stone where we have the same text written in 2 languages and 3 scripts. The hieroglyphic script, the Demotic/Hieratic script, and the Greek. In that book, just to show you that it is definitely there, the name Ptolemy, the book is called The Rosetta Stone in Hieroglyphics and Greek with Translation, by Samuel Sharp. And now, I did not note of the page, but that's early in the book. It's line 6, plate 4. I have highlighted in yellow the name Ptolemy. Okay? So if someone wants to dispute that, and I guess we'll have to take it to the Rosetta Stone itself, but I don't think this will be necessary. That being said, the same book that I mentioned, this one, The Keys of Egypt, now it's another page. Hold on. Not this one. I can close this. I will tell you the page. Page 173. It says, by comparing the hieroglyphs for the name Cleopatra on the Banki's obelisk with the hieroglyphs for the name Ptolemy on the obelisk and on the Rosetta Stone, Champollion was encouraged that most of the signs that should be common to both names, the hieroglyphs for P, O, and L, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's L, not the I, were in the right place to spell these names alphabetically as Ptolemus and Cleopatra. He deduced that the values of the individual signs were, and underneath, all of a sudden, the quality on the screen is not really great. I don't know why is that. Let me see what it's going to do now. Maybe it's a connection issue. I hope it's a connection issue. Let me do that do not disturb thing, by the way. What's do not disturb? There it is. So how do not disturb? You know what? I will. It's refreshing on my computer. Oh, Alex Little, thank you very much. Your sister just gave a $20 donation. It's so kind of you, sister. So kind. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I will tell wifey she will be happy. She knows about you. Now, as I see it on the screen now, quality is not as good as it was earlier. But many times after the live stream, quality is better. So I will continue. Oh, hold on. Hold on. This is where I was here. There's some delay. Let me refresh the page. Just have a look. Let me see what it does. And thank you for the thumbs ups, brothers and sisters. It's refreshing on my laptop. Okay, that's another. Bear with me, brothers and sisters. I'm almost finished with this Medu Neter proof of decipherment. Okay, so you have the cartouche. Inside of a cartouche, you have the name of a deity. Oh, I'm sorry, the name of a deity, and the name of a ruler, of a king. And so on the left, you have Ptolemy. On the right, you have Cleopatra. Now, my question to those who say, who believe that the hieroglyph has not been deciphered, how come we have the names of two different historical people, unlike so many biblical characters? Ptolemy existed, Cleopatra existed. This is attested in history. How come we have their names written in hieroglyphics? How come, if it has not been deciphered, how come at the time the Greeks wrote their names on the cartouche? Doesn't it show, doesn't it mean that they knew the language? There's another thing, because a lot of people are trying to dismiss the Rosetta Stone. Now, the Rosetta Stone here, this is the entry from Encyclopedia Britannica. And I think it's 2012 edition. I think I bought this in 2012. Now, you have the name Thomas Young, mentioned earlier. The last paragraph says the decipherment was largely the work of Thomas Young of England and Jean-François Champollion of France. The hieroglyphic text on the Rosetta Stone contains 6 identical cartouches, oval figures endorsing hieroglyphs. Young used the cartouche as the name of Ptolemy and proved that long-held assumption that the cartouches other inscriptions were the names of royalty. By examining the direction in which the bird and animal characters faced, Young also discovered the way in which the hieroglyphic signs were to be read. I've added there's no the, in which hieroglyphic signs were to be read. Now, here is the nail in the coffin for all those who said that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered, that we cannot rely on the Rosetta Stone. If you look at the first paragraph, the sentence before last, it says regarding the Rosetta Stone that it was discovered by a Frenchman named Bouchard or Broussard in August 1799. It was discovered in 1799. Check this out, brothers and sisters. In the Louvre Museum, yours truly have filmed this footage. I have a video entitled Louvre Museum Tour. I'm not sure if it's still online there, but anyway, this is in the Louvre Museum. I have the footage if someone wants to take it further. I filmed it myself. This is a screen print from my own footage in the Louvre Museum. And there you see a cartouche and it spells the name of Alexander. Alexander, nicknamed Alexander the Great. Nickname or called Alexander the Great. You have the different symbols for the different sounds. See, a lot of people have a trouble making the distinction between a script and a language. I showed you the oldest Arabic, one of the oldest Arabic inscription. It's in Arabic. The language is Arabic, but the script is Nabatean script. Not only I showed it, but I also filmed it right from the Louvre Museum because that's where it happens to be. But anyway, this is Alexander. Here is the breakdown of the symbols, of the signs. Now check this out. This is the actual artifact. This is an original document from a museum. And guess what? We have a date for this. This is only a breakdown of the symbols, of the signs. This is not Roman script. It's not our Roman letters. So that's why they break it down. It's the museum who did that. Adon Ben Israel wrote, Netsu Kufu Aru Ameketi. I don't understand that, but greetings to you. Now check this out. This is the date of this artifact, written in hieroglyphics, spelling the name Alexander. Now this is written in French, of course, because this is in the Louvre Museum, but I will translate that for you. And by the way, for those who would think about going to the Louvre Museum, they give you some headsets and on some key artifacts, you have the translation. Okay, so, okay, anyway, I don't want to make this too long. So it says, the name of the king Alexander in hieroglyphics, around 3030 BCE. This is where the nail in the coffin. This is the nail in the coffin. Why? The Rosetta Stone was discovered in 1799. It was discovered in 1800. almost 1800. It was discovered in the 18th century, but this is 300 BCE. So for all those who say that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered, they need to explain to us how come in 300 before the Common Era, 300 3 centuries before the birth of Christ, if he existed, how come they already had a cartouche with the name Alexander in hieroglyphic with those symbols here, those signs that stands for some sound A or R actually. Now the lion that comes later on, to my understanding, the Greeks use that to come up with the letter L. But anyway, the sound for K, the sound for S. So sometimes it's possible that instead, I try my best to say sound most of the time. It's possible sometimes that I say the letter, and that might be confusing also. If I say, okay, the snake represents the letter F, really, it stands for the sound F. Just like in Arabic, you have the sound F, but it's not written with our letter F. It's written with an Arabic letter that stands for the sound F. No brainer. So, 300 BCE, basalt is the material of the artifact, and it says Alexander the Great conquered Egypt around 3032 BCE. So 2 years after Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, here we have this artifact bearing his name. And don't be confused, this is BCE. So in 3032 BCE, Alexander the Great conquered Egypt, and 2 years later, in 3030 BCE, this was written down. Well, around 3030, that's what it says. That's the Louvre Museum, that's not me. This is the description from the Louvre Museum. So, he conquered Egypt in 3032 BCE and became Pharaoh. He became Pharaoh. On the monuments, his Greek name, Alexandros, was transcribed in an oval called cartouche, like those of ancient rulers. I use rulers for lack of better word because I'm doing a live translation, okay? It's not exactly ruler, but it means kind of the same thing. Or so basically, that word is sovereign. To be exact, that word is a French word for sovereign. So, like those of ancient sovereigns, using alphabetical signs that they had at their disposal in the hieroglyphic system. On this fragment, it is written from right to left, Alksindrs, Alexander. So all those people, this is what you can ask to all those who say that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered. All those who trying to act like it was only thanks to the Rosetta Stone that it was deciphered. How come 300 years and dang, the Rosetta Stone was discovered in 1799. 1799. 300 BC, you have the name of Alexander, King Alexander, who became a pharaoh, written in hieroglyphic. The Rosetta Stone was not even in the picture yet. That bomb 2000 packed man has joined us. Greetings to you, brother. Do you understand what I'm trying to explain? Because I understand also that some things might be obvious to you, but it might not be obvious to other people, because this is something that I've been dealing with for years. So maybe some things are not clear enough. Maybe some things that I've said are confusing. Maybe it's because of my accent. Maybe it's because of my delivery. So if some of you would like me to go over some things that I have said, then feel free. But all those people who say that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered, they need to explain to us how come the name was written, and when we look at the signs, the symbols, they stand for sounds that spell Alexander. if we assume, if we go towards the hypothesis that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered, wouldn't it be the hell of a coincidence that in 300 BCE, the Greeks happened to write down a cartouche with the name of Alexander, spelling Alexander, using a script that is not theirs, it's not the Greek, it's hieroglyphic, and it spells Alexander, but nobody knows the language. Just so that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you, what I'm telling you, actually, not trying. Picture me, I don't know the Arabic language, and I'm going to write my name in Arabic, but I don't know the Arabic language. When I say I don't know, it's the analogy. That's because the people claim that the hieroglyphics has not been deciphered. Doesn't even make sense to you, brothers and sisters. I'm just asking this question. Africanist world, hotep to you, brother. I hope you're doing well. I don't know if it's you or your lady. We hope to both with you anyway. Your lady was there yesterday. She came in hollow. Does it make sense to you, brothers and sisters, that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered, but in 300 BC they happened to write down the name of Alexander with some symbols, some signs, some glyphs, some Medu, some glyphs that actually spell his name? Does it even make sense to you? Is it even possible? Not to me. To me, it doesn't make sense at all. So all those people who are down with the claim of Walter Williams and whoever else says that, you can go and tell them that. If you ever happen to have a discussion about it, or if you really want to engage about that, you can tell them about this, and you can tell them they can holler at me, and we can have a discussion about this. But that example alone is really a nail in the coffin. But anyway, that's really what I wanted to say about this subject. I don't want to repeat myself 10,000 times. So brothers and sisters, if there's anything else you would like to address, then feel free to take advantage. I'm available. What's good with you, brothers and sisters? What's good? Talk to me. Talk to me. You see the quality on the screen now is good. Let me hold on. Yeah, I will leave this one. This is directly from the Rosetta Stone with the name Ptolemy. And as a matter of fact, what we have seen is that the name Ptolemy was written exactly, there's an S at the end, Ptolemy's. Okay. The name Ptolemy is written, one name. The name Cleopatra is written, two names. The name Alexander is written, three names written in hieroglyphics, but yet the Medu Neter has not been deciphered. Does it even make sense? It doesn't even make sense at all. It doesn't make sense at all. Not at all. But if you want to discard the Rosetta Stone, you are free to do so. Everybody can discard the Rosetta Stone. Then they need to explain to us how come in 300 BC the name Alexander was written and it spells Alexander. So brothers and sisters, feel free. Are y'all shy? Nobody says anything. Now, Leaky Lanier wrote, I just want to know, has everything been deciphered? Now, that question is interesting because we keep using the term deciphered. And that's where probably confusion comes. Because when you think about decipher, we think about something that nobody know about, and one of a sudden, somebody figured out that thing. I wouldn't know if all the glyphs have been translated or deciphered. There are so many. I have a book, the one that I usually show, Claude Obsomer, Egyptologist from Belgium. If I'm not mistaken, in his book, he mentions that there are about 800 main glyphs. But I was told about an amount of glyphs that goes way beyond that. I wouldn't know if all the glyphs, deciphered or translated. What is for sure is that we have a pretty good knowledge of the glyphs, and if whoever learns the glyph, he will be able to read most of the stele, most of the artifacts. And there's another thing I wanted to say. Oh yes, I want to stress that point, brothers and sisters. And Nikki, your question made me reminded me of that. Cleopatra, she was at one point the queen of Egypt, more or less a ruler of Egypt at least. She's from the Ptolemy dynasty, one branch of the Ptolemy. There's a name, a particular name, but the Ptolemy, whenever you hear Ptolemy, that's Greek. There were several people with the name Ptolemy, bearing the name Ptolemy. You understand what I'm saying? Just like you had a few people bearing the name Ramesses. And the most known, of course, is Ramesses II. We had a few people bearing the name Amenhotep. Amenhotep III was probably ruling the largest, it was one of the wealthiest period of Kemet. Then Amenhotep IV, that's Akhenaten. But anyway, so the Greeks, or Macedonian, if you will, the Ptolemy dynasty, they ruled Egypt. They were there in the land of Egypt. And while they were there, obviously, we have seen that the hieroglyphic language, the Medu Neter, was known. How do we know it was known? Because we have the writings from the time period. Remember, way before the Rosetta Stone, more than a millennia before the Rosetta Stone, more than 1,000 years before the Rosetta Stone, we had the name Alexander written in Medu Neter. You understand what I'm saying? So they had their language, the Greek, and they knew. I'm not saying that all the Greeks knew the Medu Neter, but some people knew the Medu Neter. You understand what I'm saying? And it's important to remember that fact, because many times when the people who try to say that the Medu Neter has been deciphered, they said, oh, we don't know because we're not there, so we don't know what the symbols. But some people were there. And the language was used to write. So the arguments doesn't even stand at all. Doesn't stand at all. And it's a shame that people are trying to make excuses for the hypothesis of someone who wrote the book 20 years ago, and they roll with it. They roll with it. But anyway, if you have any other questions, feel free, brothers and sisters. Feel free. You know, yesterday, I started looking into this. And I started, taking the screen captures, references, going through books. And as many times, I changed my mind. Many times, I'm starting a video or something, and I changed my mind. And I'm so glad that I went back to it again. Because the Alexander artifact there. Oh, and by the way, I'm glad. I almost forgot. Hold on, not there. Well, there's one thing I forgot. It's the reference. That this is the artifact where Alexander's name is. Yes, Alexander's name is written. The date is 330, around 330 BCE. The place, of course, is Egypt or Kemet. Hotep, Margot Williams, I hope you're doing well. And the reference at the bottom right corner. Now the E, you don't really see it well because obviously the name of my website is written, but you have E30890. That's the artifact, that's the reference. So you have name, date, and place. You're good to go, brothers and sisters. You are good to go. And feel free to direct anybody you see fit or you please to me so we can have this conversation, we can have this discussion. Because sometimes people have a fair bit of knowledge about a subject matter and they will either try to confuse you or they will say things that will go over your head. But I'm there to represent. I'm there to represent. You understand what I'm saying? I'm there to represent. And I want to put some clarity. I want to add some clarity to the mix. So I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, this video might not be the most entertaining one. Videos with pictures or footage, video footage that are more entertaining. But I'm actually very proud of this video. I'm very proud. You see, and this footage I've had it for years. This Louvre Museum tour, I probably did it in 2012. Let me see if I still have the Louvre Museum tour in my videos. So if I still have it, I will share the link. But in the meantime, brothers and sisters, if you have any questions, then feel free. Okay. Like I was saying yesterday, I'm so sad when I hear people saying that the Medu Neter has not been deciphered. And when I hear their arguments, it's even more sad. The arguments are more than weak. The arguments are not based on facts, but ideology. Now, I'll put tour. Is there? Tour. I don't have it anymore. I don't have it anymore, but it's okay. It's okay. And at the end of the day, I have some splits, and I had started going back to the Louvre Museum. And as you know, we are in quarantine, so most places have closed down, but it will hopefully reopen, and I will go there again and show you some original artifacts. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, we had one dislike, but eight thumbs ups. Thank you for that, brothers and sisters. So as for those who don't know, whenever I'm live streaming, it doesn't matter what the title is, anything goes. You know, so if you want to talk about anything that's not mentioning the title, don't feel like, oh, this is off topic, this is not the subject. You can talk about anything, ask about anything. You can even express your disagreement. It's fine. And if you agree, also, you are free to say so. You know, I don't leave for compliments, but I don't mind a compliment every now and then. You know. Oh yes. So I gave you the reference. Should I leave this one? No, I will leave this one. This one here. People have worked on these things and studied these things for years, for decades. And then we have some people who have not studied and they just make claims and they are dismissing centuries of study. That's amazing. Now, Nick Lanier wrote, so when did the so-called, hold on. So when did the so-called English language come about? Oh, I wouldn't be able to tell you. We can have a look. I will look at the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's going to take a little while to load, but we'll find out. If I was to guess, I would say, ah, it's better not to guess. Maybe, but because French, I can't remember if it was like 10th century or something. And English derived from a Germanic type of language, doesn't it? Some sort of Germanic offshoot, isn't it? No, English. If I was to guess, I would say around 10th century or something like that. By English language. It's just loading right now. So that's Encyclopedia Britannica 2012. Introduction. West Germanic language of the Indo-European language family that is closely related to Frisian, German, and Dutch languages. English originated in England and is now widely spoken on 6 continents. Okay, that's fine. Now, that was the introduction. Now, origins and basic characteristics. Okay, I don't want to read too long, but I'm looking for dates. So that's phonology, morphology, affixation, composition, syntax, vocabulary. Okay, let me go back to origin and basic characteristics. Okay, I will read this. Hopefully we'll have some dates somewhere. English belongs to the Indo-European family of languages and is therefore related to most other languages spoken in Europe and Western Asia, from Iceland to India. The parent tongue, called Proto-Indo-European, was spoken about 5,000 years ago by nomads believed to have roamed the southeast European plains. Germanic, one of the language groups descended from this ancestral speech, is usually divided by scholars into 3 regional groups: East, which is Burgundian, Vandal, and Gothic, all extinct; North, Icelandic, Icelandic, Faroese, Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, and West, German, Dutch, and Flemish, Frisian, English. Though closely related to English, German remains far more conservative than English in its retention of a fairly elaborate system of inflections. Frisian, spoken by the inhabitants of the Dutch province of Friesland and the islands off the west coast of Schleswig, is the language most nearly related to modern English. Icelandic, which has changed little over the last 1,000 years, is a living language most nearly resembling Old English in grammatical structure. Modern English is analytic, i.e., relatively uninfluenced, whereas Proto-Indo-European, the ancestral tongue of most of the modern European languages, example, German, French, Russian, Greek, was synthetic or inflected. Okay, I will go for Old English to see what they say, because I'm looking for a date. There it is. Old English language, also called Anglo-Saxon, language spoken and written in England before 1100, 1100. It is the ancestor of Middle English and Modern English. Scholar place Old English in the Anglo-Frisian group of West Germanic languages. I don't think we have any additional dates besides the one that I just read. But furthermore, it says 4 dialects of the Old English language are known: Northumbrian in northern England and southeastern Scotland, Mercian in central England, Kentish in southeastern England, and West Saxon in southern and southwestern England. Mercian and Northumbrian are often classed together as the Anglian dialects. Most extant Old English writings are in the West Saxon dialect. The first great period of literary activity occurred during the reign of King Alfred the Great, the 9th century. So, in the 9th century, they had that West Saxon dialect already. But as far as all English, it says language spoken and written in England before 1100. So my guess was quite accurate, wasn't it, when I said 10th century? Anyway, let me see if there are any other comments. So keep it coming, brothers and sisters. It's been 40 minutes. I might wrap this up in an hour, so we have another 20 minutes to go. I might wrap this up sooner if there's no activity, and if there is some activity, then I will be glad to keep it going for a little while. But feel free with your comments and your questions, brothers and sisters. Yesterday, yesterday. Oh, GL Mam Beke, Otep to you. Yesterday I saw a message saying, how will the Medu Neter help us today? And it's so funny when I read statements like that, because you could ask that question about so many things. You could ask, how will the Bible help us today? How will the Quran help us today? How will the Torah help us today? And so on. But I know why they ask this type of question. There are many reasons why people have a dislike for Kemet, and primarily it is the Abrahamic narrative. Now, Nikki Lanier wrote, clearly that's not our people's language. You mean English, I guess. But I don't really understand. Did you try to imply something? By writing clearly that's not our people's language. And I believe, I understand that you're talking about English. And I agree. Now, Margot Williams wrote, it is our language. Now, Nikki Lanier has confirmed that, yes, she was talking about English. Well, clearly, I agree. English is not our language. Margot probably thought that you were talking about the Medu Neter. Oh, you know what? Because the text on the left, I'll put this on the right. Oh, you know what? Oh, put this in the middle there. There's some of you that have not really used to seeing during the live stream, so feel free to take advantage. I'm not live streaming every day. Margot Williams wrote, the Medu Neter is our language. When you think about Egypt, in the biblical narrative alone, the main patriarchs were there. I don't believe in a biblical narrative, but it's a very influential. There's probably at least a good billion people world narrative. Abraham went there. According to the narrative, he lied to Pharaoh because his wife allegedly was pretty. So he said that's on people under bondage. And because Pharaoh get rid of the Hebrews, because there's so many, mother put him in the water. It was found. It was discovered. And even Jesus went there. One moment, let me grab baby girl. Baby girl. So that's for the biblical narrative alone. But on a historical side, a tested historical side, you have, of course, the indigenous Egyptian. First dynasty, Nam, 3100 BC, 3000 BC. At some point, you have the Hyksos or Hekakasut, who invaded and ruled some parts of Kemet for a good 1 century, 150 to 200 at most years. Then they're kicked out, they run and they flee towards Palestine. Then you have the 25th dynasty with Taharqa and them. People coming straight out of Sudan. You have also the Assyrians. If I'm not mistaken, it's the Assyrians who conquered 600 BCE. I wonder if there's an entry on the Encyclopedia Britannica. Baby girl, baby girl, baby girl. I'm looking to see. Let me see if there's any entry for that. So, indeed, there is something. The Napatan or Nubian pharaohs made Thebes their capital in the 7th century BCE. Its fame among the early Greeks was such that Homer speaks. She always wants to grab the phone. Homer speaks of the wealth of 100-gated Thebes. In 663, however, it was sacked by Ashurbanipal. Ashurbanipal's Assyrians, and although rebuilt by the Said governors, vassals of the Assyrians, it never fully recovered. In Strabo's time, circa 63 BCE to 23 CE, the city had dwindled to a mere village visited by tourists who came to see the ancient temples. So that's why many times I tell you that around 600, the Assyrians. Now the Assyrians would be the population of Iraq. Ashurbanipal is well known and attested in history, and we have several artifacts from him and his people, notably in the Louvre Museum, and I showed some of them. And you can see regarding this claim of the so-called nuts or coil of so-called kinky hair or some artifacts. And but anyway, you have that on my account. If you bother, if you're interested to scroll through the videos. But Ashurbanipal, I would just go there just for the record. So, is the last of the great kings of Assyria. And if I go on Assyria, kingdom of northern Mesopotamia that became the center of one of the great empires of the ancient Middle East. It was located in what is now northern Iraq and southeastern Turkey. All right. So we have the Assyrians invading. Then we have the Ptolemy, the Greeks / Macedonians. Then we have the Romans. Then we have the Muslims. And at some point, Egypt was more or less the Islamic world's capital, politically at least. Then we had the French. Then we had the British. So it that has a great deal of history. Margot Williams wrote Nefer. Nefer means She's a girl, actually. So we could say Neferet. It means pretty. It also means good. Nefer alone. A triliteral. Nefer is transliterated with the letter N, F, and R. Nefer. So how long has it been now? All right, 51 minutes. So, brothers and sisters, probably 9 minutes because it's getting slow now. But take advantage if there's anything else you want to talk about, the question you want to ask. Brothers and sisters, if you have seen the video Kemet and Ma'at, press 1. If you have not seen the video Kemet and Ma'at, press 2. Margot Williams wrote, your sat is Nefer. Neferet, but Dua, thank you. Sat means daughter. I made a video about that not long ago. And besides that video, that was not long ago, there was a Medu Neter introduction. So Margot Williams have not seen it. So I definitely recommend that you watch it. I'm sure you will love it. It's 45 minutes long, more or less. I'm sure you'll love it. Africanist World has seen it. It's good. I should always mention that because you never know who comes across the live streaming. By the way, Margot Williams, did you ever come during one of my live stream? Yes, okay. Because I usually remember the people who are regular. And it's possible that some people came in a while back and I just don't remember anymore. But indeed, brothers and sisters, and thank you all for the thumbs up. Thank you all. Oh, Africanist World wrote, can you schedule Medu Neter class? So I would rather that you make notes of questions that you have about the Medu Neter and you ask them. And when I'm live streaming, I can answer them. Some people charge $300 up to $500 for Medu Neter lessons. It takes time. I really think that the playlist that I have with the Medu Neter lesson, Medu Neter introduction, is a very good start. Definitely, when we talk about beginners, and on top of that, every now and then I'll put some vocabulary in the mix. Now, there is a subscription on YouTube, but I'm not able to have it yet. I need more subscribers. And by the way, today we have reached 15,000 subscribers, so that's a good look. And also, by the way, about a couple of days ago, the video Kemet Art has reached 300,000 views. And for the record, I've said that before, but my previous account, which was called Egypt Decoded, was terminated, unfortunately, in 2016 because of haters flagging, constantly flagging. I guess YouTube was tired. My account had 9,000 subscribers, and the main video, Kemet Art, which really was his introduction to Kemet, it had 300,000 views. So it took me 3 years, or actually, November 2016. So in November, that will be 4 years. So it took me 3 years to come back strong and have that main video of mine reaching 300,000 views. So eventually, if I get that subscription option, people will have the possibility to subscribe. The other option will be Patreon, but I'd rather stick to YouTube. I don't want to be all over the place. However, if you have questions, brothers and sisters, I would just love to try to answer them the best I can. So that doesn't go only for Africanist world, but anybody, if you have any questions about the Medu Neter, then take note, and whenever you catch me live, then you can ask them. If you have not subscribed to my account yet, then make sure to do so, and you should know the account is marked forever, and there's that notification bell, so you will know when I'm live streaming. I try to tell the people a little while before I'm live streaming, like an hour or so. Now today, I didn't. I only sent the link like 5 minutes before. But anyway, um, whenever you catch me live, you can ask me the question. You understand what I'm saying? So slowly but surely we will get there, and I don't really want to schedule some time for Medu Neter lesson, and then there's like 5 people only. You understand what I'm saying? Um, because time is valuable. Time is valuable, and I feel like I'm putting a lot of time already. So we'll see how it goes. When there will be more people, eventually, maybe a bit more support, but that's something that will be possible in the long run. Now, Deborah Lee wrote, How are you today? I'm fine, and you? Can you translate the whole Rosetta Stone for us, please? Oh, no, I'm not in. It's not possible for me. I don't have that level. I don't have that level of the Medu Neter. Uh, but site, another thing is a book. First, Rosetta Stone, and keep the comments going. I will read them. No, I don't have it on my website. I don't have the translation on my website, but I will share the link now in the chat. So, first, this is from a website called Sacred Text. Okay, let me just type in Rosetta Stone translation. Rosetta Stone translation. So that's from Sacred Text, and then there's that book that I've quoted earlier. I think it's Samuel Sharp, but the surname is definitely Samuel Sharp. Rosetta Stone. So the book is like should be available. Yes, book Google, and I think now there's no more. Oh, I thought it was like free access or something. Hold on. What's the other site? Archive.com probably. .org. No longer any copyright on that one because it's so old. Archive.org. Oh, hold it down. So bear with me. Yes. So I'm sharing the link to the book. And what he's done there, he has translated from the Greek and from the hieroglyphic. If you log in, you should have the option to download that book. If you log into Internet Archive. But anyway, I've shared the link. So let me read the other comments. So Nikki Lanier wrote, yes, would love to learn. But by the way, for the people who don't know, I will share the link to the playlist of the Medu Neter lessons or introductions. And it's important to do so. I don't really, I talk more about Kemet and Ma'at than the Medu Neter lesson or playlist. There was even one in French as well. But I will type in Medu Neter lessons, for lack of a better word. I prefer introduction, but it's all good. So I've shared the link in the chat. So Even if you are not, whoever sees this video later on, you will see the link in the chat. Hey, baby girl. You will learn a fair bit there. You will learn a fair bit. So, Africanist world had to bounce. So Nikki Lanier asked, don't you have the translation on your web page of the Medu Neter? On your web page of the Medu Neter. Now, if you're asking about the Rosetta Stone, no, I don't. But I've shared couple of links about the translation. But if it's about anything else, then feel free to ask. Now, Margot Williams wrote, you said the name of the video is called Kemet Art. Okay, I will share this one as well. Actually, okay, so right now, I'm sharing the link to the video entitled Kemet Ma'at. The full title is Kemet Ma'at Before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I've shared the link in the chat so everybody can see it. The second link that I'm sharing is the video entitled Deception of Asiatic Black Men. You will see different phenotypes or physical traits of people from the Levant, Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad, and so on. Margot Williams wrote, Dua, you're welcome, sister. Yes, sister. Now, another video that I'm about to share is called, oh, my bad. The one I've just shared is called Deception I'm sorry, I'm messing up my flow. The link that I just shared is entitled Deception of Asiatic Black Men. You will see that your Asiatic Black Men movement derived from Freemasonry. Now I'm sharing White Semites Black Awakening in a couple of seconds. There it is. I show different artifacts where you will see phenotypes of people from the Levant, Mesopotamia, Sumer, Akkad, and so on, Palestine even. And you can clearly see that the Semites or so-called Semites were not black. They were not black, and this is one of the biggest thing I have an issue with when it comes to the so-called conscious community or African-centered people. For many years, we've been rolling with that black Semite theory. And here I'm sharing a full Medu Neter full hieroglyphic list. There it is. Hey, baby girl. She has recently learned to roll over. So that's about it. And if you have any other questions, feel free. I think it's been an hour already. Hold on. I don't know the exact time, but yes, it has to be an hour because it was 51 minutes. Then I had the connection issue, and now it only says 11 minutes on the counter, but that was after the connection issue thing. But thank you all for the thumbs ups, and maybe we should call it a day. But in the meantime, if you have any questions in the comments, feel free. Thank you for the love and appreciation, our brothers and sisters. It really does encourage me. So the sister Alex Little, she has made a donation. It's nice. Now, for those who don't know her, I'll share a link to some of her songs. She's an artist. So this is the song that I knew her, that I first heard from her. Broken Road. Broken Road song. And there's another song from her called Pretty Baby. I'm going to share the link and keep the comments going. I will read them. Hey, baby girl. See, Alexito, she did like one of my instrumental I shared it to her. But in the end, was not exactly what she was after, but there was no hard feeling. So good. So Pretty Baby. Pretty Baby song. Nice songs, nice, good vibes, positive song. No ratchetness. It's not ratchet. Because now the ratchet song, that's what's popping. That's what's been popping for many years now. And it's single mothers rock, but I'm just putting SMR for abbreviation. SMR, let me add song. So you can check her out. You can subscribe to her account and it will be updated whenever she has some new hits, some new songs coming up. Hold on, baby girl's crying. Baby. So Deborah Lee wrote, "Thank you very much. I'm thinking it may be very important that I learn what was written because the Egyptians took their precious time to write it in 3 translations." Oh, you might be talking about the Rosetta Stone. It's written in 2 languages, Greek and Medu Neter. However, for the Medu Neter, you have the classical hieroglyphics, and then you have the cursive form of a hieroglyphic, which is called demotic or hieratic. So, and also it's important to note that it was not the indigenous people of Kemet who were ruling. It was foreigners who were ruling at that time. It's important to note that. Remember, Kemet was finally invaded around 600 BCE. So it's important to know those things as well. Nikki Lanier wrote, "Peace and love, brother." Thank you very much. So yes, brothers and sisters, thank you very much for being there, for tuning in. And like I said, you can subscribe to my channel. You can put some thumbs up. And you can also share the videos with your friends and family members. Oh, there we go. So, by the way, the questions that you are always free to ask me, they can be about the Medu Neter, and they can be about anything else. I don't know it all. When I don't know, I don't know. Earlier, I was asked if I could translate the Rosetta Stone, and I said clearly that I'm not at that level of the Medu Neter. So I know I have a problem saying that I don't know, but I'll try my best to answer. Now, Deborah Lee wrote, "Thank you for your knowledge and your share. You're welcome." And I'm really happy when people appreciate it. I'm really happy because I try to stick to facts, to history. I tested things, and it's been a while though. It's been a while, and I hope that the brothers and sisters are not tired when I'm mentioning the fact that I had an account that was terminated. But it's not the only one. If it was the only one, the previous one, maybe I would not be talking about it so much. But I had subscribers. The other one with like 300. One with 2. Sadly, but anyway, that was the past. That was the past. Now we're doing our thing. We have the live streaming, and we can share the screen. We can communicate, and we take it from there. And as mighty and beautiful as Kemet was, unfortunately, we have many people who are dissing Kemet, dismissing Kemet, and underestimating the influence and the importance of Kemet. Of course, I know it was not only Kemet. I know that. I know that. That's cool. That's cool. But to each his own. People should not be criticized because they have chosen to have a particular interest towards uh, one empire. Because some others have chosen to put their time, money, and energy primarily towards some other cultures or some other religion or belief system. Nobody tells them that they are wrong for that. For that, well, you don't have many people who tell them that they are wrong for that, uh, and definitely not as much as the people who are into the Kemetic teaching are criticized. Sometimes it feels like it's a sin to be down with Kemet. So I refuse to follow trends or fashion. I'd rather sit for at least 3,000 years. Can definitely say that it was a good example, it was a functioning society. And that came in Kemet, history wise, is very rich, because you had different cultures that happened to be there in the mix. So I guess that will do for today. Brothers and sisters, stay safe, stay healthy. And when it comes to history, it's not complicated. Name dates and places. I'm not going to say that it's a must, but it's a good basis. Many people say things that they cannot substantiate. You understand what I'm saying? Now, Deborah Lee wrote, "It's okay, you will regain your follower. When we lose something, it takes time to regain your bearings and restart all over, but thank God you are starting again." It's true. It's true. You have an account, people are subscribed to your account, they're used to your account, and then all of a sudden your account is terminated. So they don't know how to find you again. And I have some people, years later, they say, "Oh, ever since your old account was snatched, it's now years later that I find you again, happy to see you again," and so on. That's how it is. That's how it is. What I lament, however, is that it was some so-called African-centered people who gave me the most trouble. Well, on some flagging campaign, but hey, I'm not going to dwell on that. I'd rather dwell on the positive, and the positive is that you are there and that you appreciate what I do. And I pride myself with the I am saying things that I can substantiate. You understand what I'm saying? It's important. I don't want to give people information that are wrong. I don't want them to be ridiculed. I don't want them to be laughed at. It's very important for me. So by sharing or teaching, I'm learning myself as well. And sometimes also people tell me things that I didn't know. So it's a very good thing. It's a very good thing. But when it comes to history, like I was saying, you need to look for things that are tested primarily. And that's one of the reasons also people hate on Kemet, because we have a great deal of data, of artifacts, contemporaneous artifacts from the time period. Because a lot of people use the term contemporaneously, or let's say they use the term contemporaneous very loosely. For them, if they say we have some contemporaneous records for Jesus Christ, that's actually like decades after the fact. And really, contemporaneous should be from the time period, but or the lifetime of the individual that we are addressing. But it's okay. That's the reason why so many times I say search as a lifetime during so and so's lifetime. But there's a lot of things that we have been told that cannot. Bro, do you think the Egyptian language family was Afro-Asiatic? As far as this family, the linguist, um, it is classified as belonging to the Afro-Asiatic family, but someone like Theophilo Benga, which is Medu Neter, under the family called Negro Egyptian. And there's a video of Theophile Benga. I will see if it is still there. I will see if it's still there so I can share it. So I can share it with you all. There it is. It was uploaded 7 years ago, and I will do something I don't do often. I'm going to share a video from an account of a Imhotep who has been accused more than once of plagiarizing, but and I know for a fact that he's made a very weird. Oh no, Theophile Benga. So Dr. Theophile Obenga on the Medu Neter. Now, if you don't know Theophile Obenga, he's a heavyweight. You probably heard about Second Diop in the 1974 Cairo conference. Diop was assisted by Obenga. So I think on that video that you see the classification proposed by Theophile Obenga of a Negro Egyptian. I'm having a quick look at the video, but I think it's towards the end. Oh, we even see Dr. Mario Beatty. I'm just scrolling through the video right now. I think there's a chart that he shows about the language. Yeah, there it is. Now, around minute 36, you have Egyptian, Phoenician, and underneath you have different languages. But I'll let you enjoy it. And personally, as much as I find that Afro-Asiatic classification of the Medu Neter strange, I find, for example, like the Indo-European family. I find that strange. I'm not a linguist. I'm not dwelling too much, but I would just say my 2 cents. I have a feeling that they have came up with that language family in order to give themselves a longer time span. And when I say themselves, I mean particularly the Europeans. Because I really don't think that the Europeans can be classified or considered to be as ancient as a language as the ones from India. You understand? Because really, when they say Indo-European, it's no surprise that they the main thing with Indo-European is the Sanskrit. Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit language. Just to have a date. Sanskrit language so an old Indo-Aryan language in which the most ancient documents are the Vedas, composed in what is called the Vedic Sanskrit. Although Vedic documents represent the dialects then found in the northern Midlands of the Indian subcontinent and areas immediately east thereof. The very earliest texts, including the Rig Veda, the Veda composed in verses, which scholars generally ascribe to approximately 1500 BCE, stem from the northwestern part of the subcontinent, the area of the ancient seven rivers. So earlier we have seen that for the Old English, it was about 1100. So Old English is in a language family of the Sanskrit, and the Sanskrit goes back to approximately 1500 BCE. Now, the Vedas, Veda, it says a collection of poems a collection of poems or hymns composed in the archaic Sanskrit and known to the Indo-European speaking peoples who entered India during the second millennium BCE. 2000 BCE. Wow, but the period about 1500 to 12 BCE is acceptable to most scholars. So the Old English, about 1100. But the Veda writing in Sanskrit language, 1000 BC. There's a 2000 years gap. But that was my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. So, brothers and sisters, thank you very much for the support. It's very important that you share at least Kemet in Ma'at, at least that one. And you can do so on Facebook, on Twitter, on what's the other thing? Snapchat, all those social networks. By sending email in your WhatsApp groups. Talk about it with your friends, your family members. And we'll take it from there. And also for the Medu Neter, if you know some people who want to learn it, tell them to holler, tell them to come with their questions, and their questions eventually will give me ideas about things to share, about things to show. And eventually, if there are enough people, and if enough people are willing to make a small contribution, then we might have some scheduled time for the Medu Neter. But as you know, and the playlist about the Medu Neter lesson are a testament to that. Usually, when I deal with the Medu Neter, I'm live streaming, there are not so many people. So every now and then, on a regular basis, I get that request for the Medu Neter, but the demand is not as strong. The attendance is not as strong as the demand. Okay, brothers and sisters, we can all learn. All of us, we can all learn. Trust me. Bottom line, I said it before, it might sound harsh. I don't want to appear condescending, but some people will rather say that Medu Neter has not been deciphered out of laziness, because they don't want to learn it. As if there was an obligation to learn it. There is no obligation. Nobody's under any obligation to learn it. But if someone doesn't want to learn the Medu Neter, it doesn't have to come and say it hasn't been deciphered. You know, that's not the way to go. So, in a sense, I could even say that Arabic is more difficult to learn than the Medu Neter. Arabic is something. The big difference is that Arabic is still a living language, considered to be a living language, because, you know, Medu Neter is considered to be a dead language. But we can revive it. So stay safe, stay healthy, and I will definitely have it back at you later. Hotel.